Yeah,
It's good
Hi,
to
Midge.
just see.
Midge, by the way.
Hey.
Hey.
Nice to see you again.
Yeah, it's been a while.
So the main question: have you been getting enough sleep?
Oh yeah, most of the time I do. Only every now and then that there's a rough night where
All
the
right.
baby doesn't sleep much, but other than that,
Well, that's good
pretty
then.
okay.
Yeah. Well, good to hear.
Well behaved.
Yeah, we're extremely lucky when it comes to that. So
Yeah. Massive congratulations again.
Yeah, congrats.
thank you.
So,
Been a trip.
what time is it now where you are?
9 p.m.
Okay. Yeah. So just 1 hour, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
I've just had their kids gone back to school, sorting all that lot out. So it's all been a bit of a rush around with that lot, and trying to get back into the flow of things now. There's some sort of regular pattern going on.
Yeah. That's fair.
What school level are they at?
Both primary at the moment.
Okay.
Do they have any interest in 3D work, or?
Not really. That I did have Jessica with me, my eldest daughter. She's 7, and she was telling me how to make a spaceship. So I was and I was recording the entire thing. I listened to it back, and I was like, "Nah, there's too much of the other kids coming in and all the rest of it, and it's like 3 hours long because they disappeared and came back again." Daddy, can I continue the ship? I'm like, yeah, okay. But this evening, I just managed to set up my music computer like we've got a little room that's got a piano, guitars, drum kit, and all that sort of stuff in. And my old computer that I had in here, I was going to repurpose it, but it took ages and ages to get sorted. And in the end, I ended up plugging it in there. I got a new monitor today to just put in there. Well, new eBay job, just so there's a monitor. And yeah, my eldest and youngest, who's 5. They were pressing one key, and it's they were very happy with it. They were making something that sounded more like music than all the keys being pressed down.
Nice.
Normal. But yeah, it's amazing. I reckon if I left it with them with some sort of encouragement, they would just pick it up so quickly.
Yeah, excellent. Now, before we carry on, I should say, so we've got Charan here from Just 3D Things. Now, usually when new people come on, we like to give them an intro. So, Charan, would you like an intro?
Sure.
Okay, right. So, tell us who you are, what you do, where people can find your work. Go.
Hi, I'm Charan. So I run the YouTube channel Just 3D Things along with my friend Bharadwaj, and I also do live streams in Erin server where I try to break down shaders to the math level and make it boring. And yeah, that's basically it. And you can find me on Twitter at Charan @SaiCharanMD and Instagram at Just 3D Things.
All right, excellent.
And I'm from India.
Yeah, very cool. And looks like Jacob's joining. Hello, Jacob.
Hello.
How are you doing?
Outside.
I'm doing good. Yeah, soaking up some of the final rays of sun here.
Another American soul coming in. Josh? Yeah, I'm doing all right, thanks.
Sorry, I'm late, fellas.
Hi, Josh. How you doing?
What's up? Hey, we got 2 new people I haven't met.
All right, yeah. So
what's up, guys?
We've got Charan here from Just 3D Things, and we've got Midge, who I'm sure you've heard of.
That is Midge, isn't it? I wasn't. Just looked like he just woke up.
How do you say your name? Just 3D Things.
It's Charan.
Okay.
Charan? Yeah.
Charan.
It's so close. It's better than how Curtis started pronouncing my name, and even Erin started pronouncing my name for the first time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen your content.
Struggled.
But...
Well, the thing is with your name, Charan, I don't want it to sound like I'm intentionally swapping to an Indian accent like all the time, just when I say your name and speak to you.
It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. I got used to it.
Yeah. All right. It's fine. Midge, I want to ask, how's the RTMG course doing? Is it still popular? You still?
Yeah, it's still. I'm honestly to start off with, if anybody's watching that bought it, I want to say a massive thank you, just because it exceeded all my expectations, by far. It kind of blew my mind how well received it ended up being, and people really seem to like it. and it's still selling a little bit. I mean, it's cool because like I've never really done this before, so it's kind of interesting to see that graph of how it goes, and it's cool when you see that maybe it gets shared somewhere, and then you see the sale spike a little bit, and then it dips down again. And honestly, it's just really cool. Like I said, just no easy way to express my gratitude to the amount of people that bought it and supported it. And yeah, it's definitely in these weird times with everything that I've been going through for the last couple of months as well with the baby and everything. It's just been a really sort of nice peace of mind. And yeah, I'm extremely thankful for it. So.
Does this make you interested in doing any like future projects that follow the same kind of pattern?
Maybe. I've had a few questions of people that have asked me if I was going to do another course soon. I don't think soon is going to be a good timeline. Just in general, if I look at the previous one that I did was also a motion graphics one that was for the Blender Cloud. That was about 2 years before that, I think. I think maybe one a year, one every 2 years is something that I might be able to pull off, but I'm not really going to make any promises because it all happened because of circumstances, and like we were organizing a conference that fell through because of the pandemic. So, I had time all of a sudden, so that definitely helped.
Yeah.
But it's interesting. It took me a long time to figure out a good angle. So if I ever do another one, I want to make sure that it's as cohesive as this one. I think I found a really good sort of idea surrounding it, and I'd only really do one if I can find another good idea like that, I think.
All right, cool. Well, I'm sure there would be lots of people looking forward to it if it did ever come around again. So
yeah, and I'm still eager to hear more feedback. Like whenever people send me stuff, it's always really nice to see what they've done and everything they're learning. So it's cool for sure.
So you mentioned the word conference in that bit there, and I just want to ask, how many people here brought a comfort box? Ordered yet?
Yeah, I got one. I don't think it's going to get here in time though because of the pandemic.
Yeah, we'll see. Do we know like if and when they have started sending those out?
I think it was going to be the start of October, but I'm not sure.
Okay,
I'd have to look it up.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't look like there's any tracking information on the website, so
yeah, there's not. They just send you an email with confirmation, and that's it. So
Oh well,
it's a big mystery.
Yeah, I want to know what's inside. I mean, they say what's inside, but I want to see what it's like. I've still got my stuff from the last conference in a bag down here. I completely forgot I had a T-shirt. I should probably stop wearing that in videos.
Did they have like?
I was gonna say I should have been wearing my one today. But yeah, I got a bit of stash the other day, and it says here the comfort box will be shipped at a later time when it's finished.
Oh,
there you go.
Oh, Blender bag.
Yeah.
Oh, just I thought that was a T-shirt. It's a bag.
Well, there's a shirt in here.
Even better.
Both. Oh wow,
nice.
Oh,
It's got Blender conference.
Fun,
on the back of
fun
it.
fact: my
that's
brother
cool.
designed the logo last year.
Oh,
Yeah.
Who did?
My brother.
Your brother?
for the
Oh, cool.
conference.
So shout out to him as well.
Nice.
That's
very
neat.
cool.
Siblings in the same industry. I like that.
Family business, yeah.
Maybe at some point, but yeah, he has been in visual effects for the past couple of years. He's like dipping more into 3D and other things as well. So yeah, we definitely have a lot of similar interests, which is fun.
Awesome.
That's sweet.
Not like me and my brother. My brother like doesn't know anything about this kind of 3D tech, but he's much more into like creative writing. Much more down to earth person. But anyway, I've just noticed this. This is a little promo thing from the Blender conference. Join up and you might grab a NVIDIA Titan. So speaking about GPUs, did anyone try and get their hands on a 3080?
No, I knew it was going to be second. So,
Yeah.
no.
It was literally from like unavailable to unavailable again. Just like in one refresh, it was ridiculous.
The scalpers are going crazy, putting it for like $5,000.
Mm.
Have you
I'll
seen
just
the
wait till
bots?
next year. Like, no thanks.
People have written bots to elevate the prices to like unattainable.
Yeah.
So it'll just like push them up to like 20-30 grand.
Yeah, and someone's gonna pay it.
Oh
Some
my
rich dude out there who wants one. That's the thing. Someone out there will buy it just because they have money to throw around.
Yeah.
It is a
But I
shame.
think-
It's kind of the purpose of capitalism at the end of the day, but
It is.
equally, it's kind of a shame that you can't get your hands on the original product.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, but at the same time, like it's a graphics card. It's a luxury product, you know.
I can wait until mid next
Yeah.
year if I need to.
Oh, easily.
Yeah.
And it'll be tested, more benchmarks and all that stuff. So
Mhm.
And everything will be properly supported and all that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Because like nowadays, when you buy stuff like that, maybe not for everything, but for a lot of stuff, it feels like you're beta testing a lot of
Yeah.
software. And it's like, was it worth it to really spend all that money and then get something that kind of works?
Yeah.
most of the
I
time?
remember when I went from a 980 to a 1080, I couldn't use Blender Cycles for 6 months. Maybe I'm exaggerating. Maybe it felt like 6 months anyway. Suddenly having to stick with the CPU rendering, it was a nightmare. I wanted my 980 back. So yeah, I'd rather not go through that again.
What'd you do with the 980?
That went to a friend.
Okay.
He was building a gaming rig at the time. I was like, okay, yeah, easy, same eBay price and everything that we would have paid anyway. And he managed to get 2 980s and put them in SLI, and I was like, you don't want to do that. He was like, yeah, I do. I went, you don't want to do that. Yeah, he didn't want to do that.
Yeah, I've got a 980 in backup. It's literally by my legs, where my old computer is, and that's just gonna stay there in like just a protective vault. So if anything goes wrong with this computer, got components ready to go. Anyway,
Is that your Bitcoin GPU?
you know, it's been sitting dormant all these months, so maybe I should have tried to start
I
mining.
get what you're saying.
Yeah, there we go. But here's the thing: I don't even know if mining on one GPU is worth the electricity price. So yeah, but hi Kev, by the way.
Hi. Can you hear me?
Well,
Yeah,
Kev,
can hear you.
Excellent. Hello. I got
Do like sheepet renders on it.
Yeah, actually, that's a good idea. Now,
And
I
you can build up
probably
tokens, I guess.
I probably would have done something with it, but the problem is there's not enough space. We're looking to move house. When we do, I'm getting a larger area, so then I'll be able to put this on a desk somewhere and do something with it. Hi, Markom, by the way.
Good morning.
You sound exhausted. What is it, 5 a.m.?
I love it every time.
every time. It's
Wake
great.
up.
I woke up to do a whiz, and I looked at the time. I'm like, oh.
We need an intro song that you can just wake up to and get jazzed about.
Wake me up before you go.
That'll do it.
Markom just comes on dancing. It'd be amazing.
Sorry.
Can't believe we've got 10 people in here now.
This is big.
10, yes.
Yeah. Does
Yeah.
anyone have anything they want to talk about?
I do have some topics, but I'm open.
Just before, we can jump into some of your things. I just want to steer it back to what Midge was saying earlier. You said that you'd picked up some insights from making your course.
Mhm.
I have a course which I am planning, but I haven't got to the point of actually recording anything yet.
Mhm.
Do you have any insights before I do?
Plan the fact that you're going to record every video more than once, just because you're going to start recording, and by the end of the course, you're going to be into a groove, and you're going to notice a massive difference between the first couple of videos that you recorded and sort of the ones at the end of the course. Okay. And then go over the whole thing, and honestly, just re-record everything. And I made one mistake, which I'm now kind of paying for, is if you have the option to subtitle, do it while you're editing the video. Because if you have to go back and subtitle like 11 hours of content, in my case, it's just rough, really rough. Well, if you're editing the video, you might as well subtitle it at the same time, and it keeps it a bit more doable. Because I did get a number of requests from people asking me if the course was subtitled. So I think it's actually something to really take into consideration.
Okay.
But yeah, other than that, obviously, depending on your style of teaching or recording or whatever, those are the two main things I definitely took away from.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, closed captions
you try-
can be really expensive to do as well if you want them done professionally. One of the big problems is having a certain niche or niche. You've got certain terms and phrases you're going to use. So, like, I remember a lot when I was doing an Unreal tutorial, and you're talking about the default pawn. Of course, caption doesn't put that as you want to say it.
Yeah.
No.
Wow.
Maybe you should try out like the auto generation ones because it's really good.
I checked it out, but the issue is that the way I'm speaking, they're not fully formed sentences. I'm sort of doing a thing where I'm explaining something and I go off on tangents. And if you just generate it, even if it would be generated perfectly, I'm trying to think of it from a point where maybe somebody has no hearing whatsoever, so they're really just relying on the text. And they're very nonsensical sentences because you're kind of changing, what you're talking about all the time. So I found that when I was trying to close caption them myself, the sentence would be, honestly, to explain what I'm doing, maybe 5 words, but I would be saying it in 10 or maybe 20 words just because I'm sort of explaining stuff. But yeah, I tried that, but unfortunately, you just have to do it manually to get it right, especially for people that have no hearing at all.
So do you do like an abridged version of the captions?
It's what it feels like. Yeah, it's kind of weird, but it's probably the better way to do it, I think. Just so it makes sense, turn off your volume and just try to follow along with your own video and read what's going on. And you'll see, you'll feel it immediately what's best to do. So,
okay,
interesting.
The other thing you can do, which is very challenging because it's very front loaded, is to script it. If you script what you're going to say absolutely perfectly, then you can just read off the script, and the script is the transcription of what's going to happen, which is obviously very easy to then put into subtitles or closed captions, but it's a lot of front loading.
Yeah. I am now afraid of writing. Yeah, I'm afraid of writing scripts for videos now. Pretty much all of 2019.
Like, you can tell it's scripted.
Yeah,
that's
definitely
what I don't like about it.
I've written scripts sometimes, but it has to be. It's something that it has to go in a very specific order. And if you go at it just one other way, it's just like, oh no, it's going to take 20 times longer to do that way. So scripting it only when absolutely necessary.
Yeah, I try and visualize the content, and I think, okay, can this actually be recorded in one sitting? Like literally start record, do it all, end record, and then just trim that down. If that's not possible, then I think, okay, it's probably less mental effort just to script it now and then do it that way. But it really depends on the content.
Do any of you ever do that thing when you're recording where like maybe your voice breaks or you have to cough or something? You like let go of your mouse. You're like, okay, don't move anything. Take a drink, whatever, and then just resume what you're doing so you can cut without anybody noticing.
Quick pause real quick, 1 or 2.
The way I've gotten around that is during that period of time, just kind of speed it up. So if it's like, 10 seconds, it'll just go down to 2 seconds, and then the mouse will just kind of move really quick.
Right.
One thing I can recommend when creating a course specifically, because you've got a lot of lectures after one another, is to use some sort of source control. So if you really screw something up at the end of 15 minutes, but you've already saved multiple times during that time, you're not kicking yourself in the teeth. You've also then got a blend file, in this case, that you could give to your students to say, well, if you want to enter the course at this specific place, go and grab this blend file, link them to the Git repo in the specific place. And I don't know if it's a great use of Git, as long as you don't have a ton of assets in there as well. It works really well, and it's saved my bacon so many times.
It's an
that does sound
interesting
like a really
idea.
good solution, actually.
Yeah.
I recommend it to students as well. If you're working on a project and you want to literally fork it off to try something new, well, use a Git repo. That's exactly what it's used for. The only thing is it's not quite like code because you can't merge it back in later.
Yeah.
But versioning definitely helps.
And you know what you've done as well. If you commit regularly, oh, I added the wings here, I did the procedural texturing there, and then I decided to try something fancy. It didn't work. I can just hit one button and the whole file reverts back. And then if later on I want to pick that up on a tangent, I want to explore it further in my own time, I can just go off on that one and explore it later on because I can just come back and off I go again. So it's really nice having that flexibility.
It doesn't have to live on your machine either, which is also a huge,
Midge, I have another question on that topic. So because we have 2 courses out. We're doing a 3rd soon, and I'm kind of in that same bubble as you, where it's just like, brings you in that comfort, you know. You get a little bit of income on the side, kind of keeps you stable, and that's kind of where I am with, you know, aside from courses, I make just enough to pay the bills, really, but those courses bring in that extra buffer, just makes you, you know, feel more stable. So what's like, you killed it with that last one. What was your general marketing strategy? Because you know, I have a big audience to promote to, but you know what you're doing with that.
I'm probably the worst person to ask because I'm really terrible at marketing. I think because of the way I've done my YouTube channel over the years, where I'm not very active, like I maybe upload a video every 2 months or something, but I've been doing it for such a long time. I think I've got an audience, a small but I guess hardcore audience, if you want to call it that. I think quite a lot of people, I just got a lot of sales because of that, because people have been following me for a while and were excited about it in general. That being said, a lot of the stuff that I created as promotion, as marketing, I also broke down in the course. So it kind of saved me a lot of time because I could make some really cool stuff, have some really flashy stuff to promote the course, and also use it as content to show people how I do things. Because the way I split it up just to be like a whole bunch of classes and then like a bunch of projects at the end where you take everything you learned and like I make an entire project or I break something down. So that helped by saving time, but mostly, I don't know. I think if I would go after super aggressive, I could probably double my sales really easily, but I'm not like that. I prefer people to just find it on its own merit and kind of look at it and go, okay, this actually looks good. Rather than me pushing it to them, and then maybe people ending up being disappointed. So I have a weird sort of way of doing things when it comes to that. So I might not be the best person to ask.
Yeah, that makes sense though. It's good info.
Yeah, I always just want to be judged by the work itself. I don't want to be somebody that's like, hey, look at this. This is awesome. I'm telling you it's awesome, so it must be awesome. It's like, no, here it is. You decide. You know, I'll ask people to share it if they find it interesting. But I try not to be too pushy because there's a lot of great stuff out there, and you know, I would prefer to have word of mouth than everybody being like, yeah, I bought it, but it kind of ended up being a bit of a disappointment.
Yeah, it's more down to earth that way too. I like that. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, no worries.
So recently, I've. You right, Michael?
Cut that.
Do you need to get tested?
Well, the kids went back to school and immediately brought a cold back, didn't they?
Mm.
Where everybody's like, "Oh no, everybody's coughing."
Yeah, I might cut this out, but like I was watching the news and they had like one of these authority figures that said, you know, evidence suggests that there's really not a high rate of transmission in schools, and I'm like, have you been to a school before?
Yeah, kids go back to school, I get a cold. It's almost guaranteed.
Exactly. I've got a suppressed immune system, and my brother works at a school, and I'm like, I'm not happy about this. No. Sorry, I was going to say recently, I've started preparing to make my Patreon a more serious thing, because I was never interested in doing it like in terms of giving promises to people and giving exclusive content on Patreon for most of the time so far on YouTube, for the primary reason of reducing anxiety or from expectations. Because you know that, okay, well, every month I have to make this, and this, and if something goes wrong, then these people are waiting, and then if they're not happy, then they'll leave, and then, you know, it's all a numbers game. But now I think I'm in a position to start doing it. I've really selected tiers that allow me just to produce artwork day after day, and then I can just choose, okay, I'll give this to these people, this to these people. So I've been thinking about starting it for a while, just, you know, in an easy way, and my next YouTube video will be me telling people that it's now ready to go. So I've been putting files on there early that no one's ever seen before, like things that were never shared, and I'm going to carry on doing that because about 60% of all the content that I make never gets put in videos or in Gumroad or anything. So I feel like that'd be a good thing to do. But I wanted to ask, like, because this isn't my field, does anyone have any advice for Patreon? Because I don't know how to market that, because I'm not the kind of person that goes, hey, can you give me money every month for, this kind of content? I'm usually just like a bit like Midge, actually. I'll just like throw something up and then I'll just leave it sitting there. If I make a paid product, I'm not marketing it like, weeks, months afterwards. I put it up once and it's just sitting there. If people want it, they can get it. So if anyone has any tips for how I can actually present this to my audience now that aren't used to that kind of content, I'd like to hear it.
I have the same question because we're launching as well.
I have the same question. Yeah, I have the same question because I launched it today.
Oh, I don't know about Patreon a lot about Patreon. I've actually been a patron for a couple of people that I really like their work on YouTube, and I've actually they're very little channels as well, and I want to see them grow. So I'm like, yeah, you know what? I've used your stuff now. You've released it for free. I'm gonna continue supporting you, because if you grow, that's awesome. And I think that's a great. To the point of I've got all this other stuff, that's actually a good place to put that sort of what I do in the background stuff, because otherwise it's not just the final artwork that you end up producing, it's the process to get there as well, and that's invaluable for people to see. It's a shame Ducky's not around, because he's doing really well on his Patreon. And I know specifically with he does material packs every month and things like that, so things that people can take and use in their own projects. Maybe you could do something modular similar with the coding stuff that you do, Curtis. With
what I was thinking was, because I've got 4 tiers on there at the moment. Number 1 is $1 just for access to the private posts and the Discord role. The second one is $5. It's that and exclusive resources. So things like if I did make a material pack, that would count as it, but also some tutorial resources. I was thinking I would make some, I've released Easy BPY, that Python module for Blender. I would make some example files for that and put them on there as well. So about different kinds of techniques. And then the third tier is all of that with the exclusive resources and my personal art files. So whenever I make artwork, I put them on there. That's $10 a month. So you get all of my artwork, and all of my experiments for artwork as well. So the $5 and the $10, the main difference there is the resources and the personal artwork. So I feel like regardless of whether I'm thinking about Patreon, I'm just going to make all that stuff anyway, right? And then it's literally just a matter of, okay, well, now I've got this here, now I can give it to them. Making the pathway easier for the junk that I make to reach its way into people, and also kind of turning it into a business. We'll see.
Don't call it junk. I bet it's not junk as well.
Well, what's the phrase "one man's trash is another man's treasure"?
Yeah.
Right? Exactly.
If you play this back, I've been smiling for the past 3-4 minutes straight, because I've literally thinking about something similar like this. So it's really funny to hear everybody going like, "Oh yeah, me too, me as well, me too." It's really encouraging. Like I have been working on this specifically yesterday and a couple of other little trash assets, and I was thinking the same thing that you were just saying, which was, if I'm making this anyway, and I want to show it to people, why not just put it up on Patreon?
Exactly that. Yeah.
If you include like the PSDs and the PNGs and all the other assets, I'd love also to see some stuff like this in other people's work too.
Yeah. I haven't gone down that route yet. I'm putting together a few modular assets for level building and things like that in games at the moment. But instead of going for something like Patreon, I'm likely to put it on the site that I'm primarily on, the Canopy Games site, so that it acts as a funnel to that site rather than a funnel to Patreon. Otherwise, there's too many steps to get to where I'm mainly based, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But yeah, whether it's Patreon or your own site, so you can promote your own courses and things like that, I think having somewhere for it to go is invaluable. Otherwise, people are missing out on it.
Yeah. Also, I just want to throw in, it's like one of the reasons, as I said, is anxiety. The other reason is because income is very unstable in this line of work, as I think we all know. My Gumroad fluctuates wildly. Like it will go from like enough to make it a full-time job to like 25% of that the next month, and then bounce all the way back up. Like the width of like that change is so extremely volatile, right? It's just so unreliable. Similarly with affiliate income as well.
Yes, for sure.
I've done really well with affiliate income. That again has almost been enough for a full-time job on its own, right? So that's done really well so far. But again, the drop-off rate recently has been crazy. Like it was like really, really, really good for about a year, and then whoa, like so it's not even like a progressive thing. It's really sudden. So it's extremely hard to predict how things will change. Patreon is the only of what I can imagine for the future, the only form of income that is relatively stable. You know, even if people do drop off, but by comparison to all the other things, you're like, okay, I've got all these fairly good sources going up and down, up and down. If I can just get one that's even just slightly, you know, good enough just to stay similarly, then this won't feel as anxious, you know?
Until Patreon like changes its terms of service and people get annoyed.
Yeah.
And you lose half your audience overnight. Because like they've done that before. Some of it they've walked back, some of it they haven't. It's always, I find that part a little bit dangerous. Like you're suddenly beholden to this faceless company that unless you're making lots of money, they don't really care about you at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I was thinking of experimenting with like, I usually have some free assets on my website and maybe have like a free version. And then for the people that want to support it, have like a version with higher resolution textures on the Blender market or something. But Patreon, I don't know, personally, it would just give me too much stress to like perform for people, you know?
Yeah, that's what I've
It's stressful.
Seen a lot of people walk away from Patreon recently as well, because there was some drama that happened with one of their big
lawsuit.
Yeah, and I saw a lot of people leave then. But I also saw that you can like subscribe to somebody on Gumroad now, so you can have that kind of Patreon style relationship with somebody, but through Gumroad, so you can just give them like a monthly thing, like a $1 or $5 or whatever. So,
And you can I don't know if you knew, Curtis, because I had the same thing. I was kind of anxious about making it. And I just found this out a few weeks ago. You can pause your charging your audience for a month. So if a month you're just super busy, you just pause it. You just say, hey, can't deliver this month, or maybe you just give them a few things and just don't charge them. At least they feel like they're getting something, but they're not getting charged, so they can't complain, you know?
All right, cool.
So that
I didn't know
like,
that.
Makes you feel comfortable about doing it.
That's a good idea.
That is nice.
Yeah.
One thing I'm curious about with what you're saying, Curtis, is like the stable income. I know in the States, when you buy a house, you want a mortgage on that house. You have to have. The banks don't really care about how much you have saved. They want to know that you have like a regular stable income. So I wonder if like a Patreon type income would be that in their eyes, or if that would have to come from like
if it's your company collecting that Patreon money and then giving you a fixed amount of money every month, then that should work.
How do they measure that? Because I want, like, if it's just a case of, hey, let's take a look at your last few years and see if like everything's relatively stable and do it that way, or do you think they? Okay, there's no point actually getting into this because I don't know how they do it here specifically, so I can't make a good comparison about how they do it there. And I'm not an authority.
Well, I've never bought a house, but
I had to provide the last 6 months of certificates, paychecks, and then they kind of gather off that. But I'm lucky enough for my position; it's a very stable position, so.
Right. Okay.
I had lots of fun last August when we bought this house because obviously I work for my own business and therefore the UK they just mortgage companies specifically see you as self-employed. That's just how they see you. So they wanted like the last 2 years tax records and everything else, both personal from both of us and the company as well. And that was just a load of accounting hoops to jump through. But ultimately, you get a tick in the box or not.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's
They also look at your
easy.
debt to income.
Yeah, it's a lot easier if you have like PAYE in this country, where you just show someone your income slip and that you've been in the job for so long. It was very amusing. In order to afford the mortgage, we sold one of our cars so that it wasn't on our books, and then bought it back again.
Great.
So it's like, well done, bank. You give us
said
these
that
hoops
on
to
the
jump
video.
through. We're going to jump through it.
Yeah, that's given me a lot of hope for the future.
Yeah, it's a series of hoops you have to jump through. So if you just pick the ones you need to jump through, do it.
Yeah, I will say though, how we record our tax here in the UK for self-employment is quite simple compared to other countries, because we don't need to specifically say where the income is coming from if we're self-employed. I think CG Matter was complaining a bit. I can't remember, it was on this server, I think, about
he was
having to say like where it's actually coming from, and I was like, wait, is that a problem? Because here it's just like, okay, how much did you make in this time frame? Blah 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 blah. This is what you owe. That's it. Like, they don't care. But the data's there if you need to provide it. If they come to inquire, then it's all there. But it is really easy just doing your accounts here, because you literally just log on to the HMRC website and you log into your account and you just get going. You enter your numbers.
Especially if you don't want to claim anything on tax, or you don't have any like expenses or anything. Like if you're just earning money, it's just like, okay, this is how much I've done. Continue, done.
Yeah,
and it's like, that was easy.
It's a bit easier doing it personally than it is as a company. As a company, you do have to say which countries you have to do a thing like a VATMOS report if you sell in the EU. And recently, I've signed up with the IRS as well to make sure that if you don't in the UK and you try and sell things like on Udemy, for instance, or Teachable, if you're selling to a US audience, the US government will take 30% of that straight away off the top.
Rude.
So you need to make sure you've got the right treaty stuff all in place in order to make sure you don't get taxed, because you're not a US company doing business in the US. Otherwise, but goodbye 30% on top of the VAT on top of everything.
Wow.
So is that the same if you're an individual, like if you're trading as a single person, not as a company? Do you have to give the
I am
US
not an
government...
accountant. You should seek further.
I don't think so.
An accountant.
I'm not sure. I think it applies individually as well. If you're selling on platforms like Udemy, you'll get charged that 30% US tax unless you filled in the appropriate tax forms. There's one for business and there is one for personal as well.
Yeah, they'd need a certain amount of information. That does ring a bell, actually. If you don't provide it, then they need to take that away. But if you do provide it, then you're clear. God, the number of W8BEN forms I've had to sign.
That's the one.
I
wasn't gonna say the numbers and letters, otherwise I'll just sound really sad.
Yeah, W-8BEN. Those are the forms. Oh my god.
Yeah, those are the ones. Yeah.
So many of them.
So someone mentioned to me yesterday, or actually the day before, that when we don't claim on the tax that we just received, we actually claim on the tax of the product selling. So, for instance, a Udemy course, if I'm selling it for $10, but it's sold through affiliate, it's what, 25% I only get, I think, or 30%. But I'm in the tax bracket of 35%. So that means I'm actually paying a loss. So I'm actually paying the extra money for something I've sold. So I got to chase this up. Oh, Australian law. It's awesome.
Yeah.
There's a good reason. Get an accountant. Get an accountant. I would always say, yeah,
all the way.
Yeah, that's the problem with selling stuff internationally. Is there's so many municipalities you have to deal with, so many local laws and country laws, national laws. It's just
one of the weird things I noticed with the course as well is because of trade sanctions and Blender Market being an American website, people from the Middle East just couldn't buy it.
Yep.
Wow.
And that's like, okay, so when you start getting Twitter messages from people in the Middle East saying like, hey, I'd love to buy your course, but it's an American website and we're not allowed to buy it. Like, you have to start
can't-
thinking, oh, geez, yeah, that's not something, because it's the internet. You don't really think at it, but it's like, why does these stupid politics have to interfere with people just trying to learn something?
Does a VPN
Yeah, I mean,
not get around that?
I guess, but
The
I don't want
transaction.
to send people down that path because it costs them money, and
Yeah.
It could cost
got
them
its
their
own set of
freedom as well in
problems.
some countries. That's the thing.
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, I don't know what the law is there on that kind of thing, and
Yeah.
yeah,
That's the unfortunate part, is that it's the people that suffer. It's
Mhm.
the people suffer for the things that their leadership does, and it's silly, but I mean, it's just the way the world works right now. But we never used to have these issues, because to move products, you actually had to have a massive infrastructure in place before. Now everything's digital. There's no barrier.
Yeah.
You can sell anywhere in the world. Anyone who can legally pay for your stuff can buy it. So there's no barrier. So you don't, like, we're exposed to stuff that we've never been exposed to, like sanctions, treaties, things like that. It's like, I didn't know that. I just read about that in history, but now you have to deal with it physically, because it's right in front of you as a roadblock.
because your country has beef with another country for some reason or other. You're like, okay.
Yeah, we seem to have beef with a lot, so how it goes. What it is. It's what it is.
Yeah, I had no, and Midge, I had no idea that was going on with the Blender market.
Yeah.
Wow.
And like, what is it? ArtStation's also based in the US.
Yeah.
A lot of these websites are actually US based websites, and depending on how they do business, whether it's an offshore company or not, they might or might not be able to sell to certain parts of the world. So it's kind of crazy.
Did you reach a solution for selling to people in the Middle East?
Yes, but not a profitable one. My course was actually from the start licensed Creative Commons, because while $50 for somebody here in the West might not be a lot of money, I know it's a lot of money for people in other places. So it was Creative Commons from the start, because I want people to be able to pool their money and buy a copy if they want to share it with their friends. So I was able to get two people in touch. Somebody had already bought it who said, you know what, just log in from my account and you can download it, and then you can watch it. So
great,
nice.
Yeah, that kind of goes back to people who don't have a lot of money from last week. It's like, what do you do about that? Well, just it's like a library loan or something. It's just have at it, learn this, feed your family. No matter where you are. And I chose some random countries, but it really could be anywhere. I mean, we got starving people on our.
You really
I wouldn't say random.
I used Somalia, and for some reason, I was reading something about Somalia last week, and it was top of mind, and I couldn't remember what it was, but I mean, honestly, like, it could be people here in the States or in the UK that are in the same financial predicament.
Yeah.
It doesn't. I realized after that too. I was like, I just singled out Somalia. Like, no, it could be anywhere. Like, people are poor everywhere.
People
are hurting
understand.
everywhere.
I think they
like, it doesn't matter where you live. People can be hurting.
Yeah, of course. And I think it ties into the Blender way of thinking as well to begin with. I think maybe not for everybody, but that's one of the things that keeps attracting me to it, is because they're so open to everybody. And yeah, it's weird now. You're starting to see, with Blender's popularity like on the rise, you're starting to see some very, very commercial stuff popping up, which is odd, because up until maybe a year ago, that wasn't really the case. And now you're starting to see very sort of business-minded people entering the space, and it's kind of funny. It'll be interesting to see how that transition influences the community.
I really like when somebody comes on like trying to sell a product really hard, and they're doing the business thing, and that would totally work if they were selling, like, I'm not going to name any software, but in a different sphere. And then here they just get totally rebuffed. Like, just nobody wants it. Nobody wants their thinking. It's not Blender of them to do that.
Yeah, it's a different community. People are used to the free software, so they don't. I mean, it was like we were talking about. People will spend $5,000 on a computer system, but then not $1 on an add-on for Blender, because they got Blender for free, and they're in this mindset that software should be free. It's like, wow, okay, cool. I mean, I get it. I do. I understand that logic, but yeah, like, you go to other software spaces and everything is like, I mean, Houdini, everything's pricey. I mean, look at like Rebelway, or look at oh man, even Rohan Dalvi, who's phenomenal. Blender instructor, and it's premium priced. Nothing is cheap, you know. I mean, because you're getting into like it's like stuff for a Bugatti. Like, you're gonna buy you know, are you gonna get $3 floor mats for a Bugatti Chiron at a Dollar King? No, no, because it's not there. Like, but Blender, it's like you expect that. And it's just a weird thing. I love it, but it's weird.
Well,
Maybe
maybe that's. Oh yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say maybe they have to start selling plugins with like useless hardware that just ship to you. So you get something physical.
Like, Curtis, there you go.
Like
Your 900 card. Package that with something, and you're gold. There you go.
Yes, exactly.
Here.
I just want to say one thing I don't want to see in the community. Midge is saying maybe there might be a trend in the future. I don't want to see aggressive marketing start coming along. Like,
it's coming.
Yeah,
but it will happen. It's inevitable, because I see people from other communities that were used to be really hardcore into that software even jumping ship now. So it's inevitable, but I think it's going to grow, and like anything, it's going to start segmenting itself a little bit. You know, it'll be interesting to see. But maybe on that topic, you know, because at the end of the day, we're all Blender users. But what's the last piece of software that you guys paid for? Maybe that's an interesting way of looking at it. Like, outside of Blender, do you use anything that you pay for either perpetually or through subscription or something like that?
Adobe.
Affinity.
Yeah,
Adobe.
Adobe.
But I mean,
You know,
that's like 10,
Houdini.
$20 a month. Houdini.
I still have the student license because I'm still a student.
Oh yeah,
Everything's free.
Yeah, everything is free
They want
for
to
me.
hook you in, don't they, when you're a student?
I saw some interesting comments on my video. Just sorry about the aggressive marketing. It was on one of my Python ones, and I saw someone that had like gone and spammed a link. They'd written an Amazon book, which was like a Blender tutorial thing for Python, and they went and they looked at all the comments where people were asking questions, and they said, "Hey, you should buy this book," and they like went for it. And I was like, "No, we don't do that here. Take your comments and go."
Very, very true.
Yeah,
like I have aggressively marketed before in other spaces, not in education and 3D stuff, but like I can use all of the tricks, the Facebook pixels, all that stuff. And I'm like, but in this space, like, yeah, I mean, somebody's gonna come and they're gonna do it, and they're gonna do it well, and we're all gonna be like, "Why'd you do that? Oh my god!" But like, this community right now doesn't react well to that. You're absolutely right. Every one of you are right. Like, this is not the space to do that. I mean, it will be, and somebody's gonna do it, and it's gonna work, and it's probably not gonna be me, because I don't have the guts to go out and do that in this community. But like, it's gonna happen. But man, there's going to be fight back. There's going to be pushback. You're right.
It's going to be Arturo.
Just wait. Or spider. No, I was on the subject of last software you paid for. I think I was like this close my second day into using anything substance to biting and going like, oh, actually, this is actually pretty amazing. And that's a whole different subject. But back to Charan's point, I then found that they had a student license and an educator license. So if you're a student and you want to try the software out, it can be free if you just prove that you're a student, same as for educator. So maybe that's something to take advantage of. And then that also got me thinking, we like teach about this online. What's the workaround there?
Sometimes you have to be part of an educational institution and be able to prove that with some kind of ID from that institution. But it depends on the vendor, though. Some software companies are like, go for it, but other ones are a bit more stringent.
So Substance Painter are quite good. I contacted them personally a few years back, and they were like, "Yeah, okay, you're a Udemy instructor. We can see that you've got plenty of students, etc. So here you go. Here's a free license." And
from Udemy.
Yeah, they accepted that, and I was like,
awesome.
Thank you very much.
And this was before they were bought by Adobe.
This was before, but it's still the case. So it's interesting because a lot of software or add-ons and things like that, they can release them for free and not have like the assets with them. I think that's a very good model, or only a few of them, so you get a little bit of a taste of what the power of that add-on can do. Or you, let's say it was a brush tool or a sculpting tool or something like that, you can import your own 32-bit grayscale images, so you can have these highly detailed brushes. Or you can, it's only 10 quid, $10, whatever, to get the base package. Oh, brilliant. And you upgrade to it through the method of having been exposed to something that is really good, but you want more from it. I think that's a very good way of doing it.
There's definitely
that's
more
real
annoying ways to do it, like restricting your files to only open in the educational version, or like disabling
Non-commercial
exports and that kind of thing. It's like, guys, come on.
Watermarking across the middle of something.
With courses,
I hate that too.
I think it was Nate from GD Quest. He does Godot tutorials. He had a student asking here, the poverty plea that you will often hear if you sell any product, and he was like, "No, cool. If that's seriously what your situation is, my course is $30. Give me $1, and you've got access to the course." Because he doesn't want anybody not to have access to the course. But at the same time, I think just that $1 transaction is intent, isn't it? It's saying it is actually worth something to me. Because I don't know how many people have put out courses for free. The moment you say, 100 places or 1,000 places on this course are free, you'll get loads of students jump on it, and they've got no interest. They're course collectors. I do it with Steam sometimes, or the Epic Games Store. They say, "Oh, this month free." I don't know if I like that game. I'm going to get it anyway. You end up with a load of people who aren't invested in what the product is that you're trying to do, and that's a real shame, because as an instructor, as a teacher, I want students who are engaged in a course and are going to ask good questions and take the instruction further. What I don't want is a load of people who don't actually ever take the course, which is a real shame.
And there's a big difference in quality of students for those who solely get free stuff and those who pay. Like, I've had so many reviews from just a free release. Oh, I don't like the instructor's voice, 1 star. Versus, I'm not really a fan of how he articulates his information, but the content was good. I'm going to give you 5 stars for someone who actually buys it. There's a big gap between, like,
huge,
the maturity level and everything.
Yeah, there's also a defensive mechanism that you have when you put money out for something, versus like buyer's remorse. Like we will, when we buy something, psychologically, we will do everything we can to negate that buyer's remorse feeling. Like if it's a few dollars, we're not going to care. But if we're spending like upward to like $50 or something, we're going to have that. So we're going to look for ways to mitigate that. And a lot of people, some people will be like, "Oh, I'm so pissed off. I want a refund. This is bad." But most people will be like, "How can I I don't want to feel like I got suckered, and I want to look for the good. So let me look for the good in this and make myself feel better about buying it, and then actually use it and learn from it and benefit." Versus, I think if you put money out and you have an issue with something, you're more likely to find a way around that issue, so you can justify the purchase to yourself and not feel like embarrassed or whatever. Like, versus,
or even better,
the freebies.
Report the problem.
Yeah. What's that?
Report the problem. If someone's invested money in the problem, in the product, they're going to report a problem. I don't know if you've had that, Curtis, with like your mech generator. I'm sure you get feedback saying, "Oh, I tried it with this particular asset and this didn't work." And you're like, "Oh, brilliant! I can incorporate a fix into that," and then suddenly your product improves because of it.
Yeah,
you're right. Most people will look for fixes.
I call them angels. I've had a few projects in the past.
That's awesome.
I've had a few projects in the past. I'm not going to say specifically what they were, but there were some really, really bad bugs in them. Not any of the new things I've done, but then like it would be so embarrassing if it was just publicly shamed for it. But then there's always been like one person that comes out of nowhere. I have no idea who they are, but they send an email. They're like, "Hey, I noticed this. Do you just want to change it?" I'm like, "Thank you so much." They're angels.
I'll typically do that with a product, versus like complaining and whining and being like, "This isn't what I like," unless it's something that's an obvious ripoff. Like, I'll be like, "Hey, this is something you might look into," and it's usually fixed, and the product is way better for it.
It's the thing
and
that
then you
if
end
you
up
don't,
getting, you know,
if you just complain about it and publicly shame it, and you're like, oh, 1 star, this was trash, you know, that's going to be potentially like 100 or 1,000 people who look at that 1 star review and don't buy it.
Yep.
And they don't get anything out of it. And it can make a huge impact on you. Like, I think, Josh, this happened to you. Like,
I think
if you have that that early, then that's going to affect your like your standing and where it is on the marketplaces.
No, for sure. And even we do it as creators. You know, sometimes we'll look at 1 star review versus 10 5-stars and be like, still iffy on it. But yeah, it's a good point.
Josh, do
It's
you
like the
print
2
out your 5
dislikes in the
stars?
whole video.
What's that, Chet?
It's like 2 dislikes in the whole YouTube, like where you only have these 2 dislikes, which bothers you a lot. It's just the 300 likes which you get.
That used to bother me,
video.
but now I just know there's like that set of people who just, I don't know if it's jealousy, they just don't like you for whatever reason. Always gonna get dislikes. I don't. It doesn't bother you.
Somebody's just having like a bad day. Like it happens. You know, I'm sure every one of us here has said something that we regret just because we were having a tough day. And I think the internet makes it so easy to get rid of that anger at whatever person is in front of you on the screen at that moment. And maybe it just might be somebody trying to teach you something. But yeah, I think a lot of it, well, at least I'll put it this way. I hope a lot of it is just people having a bad day and just venting in a weird way, rather than actually like people trying to be malicious all the time and really just
it is
horrible people.
And people, I've had experience where you have to respond with empathy for them, and then they'll usually realize, oh, I'm being an asshole today. Let me, apologize or something. Some people don't; they just don't care. But I react with kindness to everyone. I don't care if they're saying something positive or negative. It just keeps a good reputation on you. So.
I've had 1 stars before, and as you were saying, I've reached out to them, and they say, "Oh, sorry, I was having a bad day. Udemy was buffering at the time, and I was
just frustrated.
I couldn't get to watch the video, so I 1-starred it." Or even the best one. I don't know if Udemy still do it aggressively, but they used to ask for a rating for an entire course. And when it's a 40-hour course, asking in the second lecture, how do you rate the entire course? And a number of times it's like 1 star. Why do you keep bugging me about the rating? I'm like, oh.
And it's not your fault. Udemy is so bad with that, dude, because Udemy will ask for a rating. I'm not kidding. 2 lectures in. What do you think of the course? And we have no control over disabling that.
I got told off in one of my courses. The second lecture was, in a few moments, Udemy will ask you for a rating. You don't have to answer it. You can, in fact...
Yeah, that's what I do now.
Plead the fifth.
It's not me. We don't have control. Every beginning of a course now, because I've gotten those before. It's annoying.
I got like a 1-star rating on something on Blender Market once. I can't remember what product it was, but it was a really weird one because they were like, "Oh, it doesn't work. I paid this much money for it, blah blah blah." But I was like, "Hold on." They said they paid like twice the amount that it was priced at, and I was like, "Okay, so is this person lying just to be like an arse?" Like, so I was really confused. So I actually I sent them a message. I was like, "Is everything all right? Like what was the problem? Do you need help with it?" They were like, "Oh, I'm so sorry. I left this for the wrong product." I was like,
"Yeah."
Wow. I was like, "Okay, like, can you try and get it removed now? Because right now there's a 1-star review on this for the wrong product." And they said they did, but then it didn't get removed. So I sent Jonathan Williams, or what was his last name? Williams? Do you know the one I'm talking about? I sent him a message saying, "Hey,
I missed that guy."
Yeah, I sent him a message saying this person left a review and they tried to get it changed. And they were like, "Oh yeah, sorry, yeah, we'll do that." Yeah.
So on the topic of like Blender community, for we all make tutorials, or I think all of us pretty much. What are other ways though that people can contribute to the community other than making tutorials? Just as a general discussion topic. 3D assets.
Blend swap.
Yeah.
Oh
Blend
yeah.
swap.
I love blend swap.
Blend swap is the best.
Yeah, blend swap.
It helped me a lot in the very beginning.
What's blend swap for those that don't know watching this video going, what's blend swap?
A user contributed asset library.
You can put things. Can you put things on there to buy at the moment? I don't know, but you can put your licensing on there as well, which is really, really useful. So you can have CC0. You can use it. You don't have to say where you got it from or anything else, which is really valuable if you're trying to just rig up something or use a model in something that's not the main focus, like a background human model in the distance. But you can also put in your full licensing all the way up to you must attribute. It must be a free open source thing that you're working on, and this must exist in the license in the same place there. So I really like Blend Swap. I think it's an awesome place. You do have to be careful though. They've got a lot of fan art, and obviously fan art, even if it's CC0, you're going to get in trouble if you use it outside of personal projects.
Oh, that's something I wanted to ask actually. So fan art for Patreon, right? Where's the legality in fan art? Because if you made, like, say, I'm not going to do this, but if someone made like a Millennium Falcon, right, model and sold it on Gumroad, okay, that's not their IP. Okay, so that's a bit questionable. You're directly selling that. But if you made it as a piece of fan art, right, and you gave it to your patrons, the patrons aren't paying for that directly, but they're just paying to support you, right? So is that...
I think you can get around it like that because you're essentially giving it away, but you're giving it to people who are paying a subscription to you.
Yeah,
I think that transaction is separate.
The idea that you're only allowed to use it in personal projects, not for commercial projects.
I'm not intending on doing that, but I mean, I do have a model for like a Hollow Knight thing I made, but I probably won't share that. But I was thinking, like, theoretically in the future, if I did ever want to do that, how does that stand in law? I don't know.
From a quick 30-second Google search, there's so many people on Patreon selling fan art of all kinds.
Yeah.
Just to put it mildly. But it seems like they're using just fair use claim.
Yeah, that is a real gray
area.
I personally stay away from it. I just do. I don't need any legal.
I think
I've gone to court myself and fought.
That being said,
or the popularity of the thing you're making fan art of, it's going to be a lot harder or a lot easier to get away with things. I would say.
One thing I will say is never do anything Nintendo. If it's got Nintendo written on it, avoid it like the plague. Yeah.
Yep.
They're very aggressive.
Honestly, and this stuff is up there forever. So unless you pull it, so there's always a temptation to use stuff that's really popular to do videos with, or to put on Patreon, or to do any of that stuff. And at the risk of not growing as fast as I could personally, by like making a Millennium Falcon or something, like I err on the side of just staying away from that. Like Disney knocks on people's doors. Like I don't need to. I've seen cases of them going after.
You've been in Hollywood. You know what it's like down there. I've heard stories of friends that work in the visual effects industry.
Don't startle the
mouse.
mouse.
Joking around at all.
It's no joking around. Yeah, like I've heard stories. I've heard stories of people that have been walked out by security of effects houses for using stuff that they got on YouTube on their reel. That showed stuff that the company did that they never got permission to use themselves by the company. It's such a gray area. Like, I personally stay away from it.
Yeah,
and you could. I mean, I could model anything that's commercial out there and probably get a million views on a video for it. But I just stay away from it.
Yeah,
because anytime money is involved, even like ad revenue, somebody could say you're profiting off of my work. And you don't have the attorneys that these people have. They have entire counsel. They have entire executives that sit as counsel on their in their companies that will go after. It's just I'm done.
I think.
There.
Oh man, this is all good, man.
I think Disney probably has the most powerful legal team in the world.
Yeah,
there's nothing stopping
at the same
you.
time. So for them, a lot of fan art is free advertising, which is why they allow so much of it. And that always that gets to me sometimes as well when people make stuff and it's like Stormtrooper or whatever, something like some really giant property, and they gain people are like, oh, this looks amazing or whatever, and I'm like, well, can we maybe just move away from making free advertisements for these huge companies. I get it. People are excited about stuff. I'm not knocking it. There's a lot of people making some really cool things, but at the same time, it's weird to me because it takes away from what you're actually able to do as an artist just by kind of plugging into somebody else's IP. But that's, I don't know, maybe I'm weird like that, but I've always found that little...
Where you start to get a really big issue. Oh, we're zooming in.
Like if you want to make BlenderNest fan art, you're more than welcome. And I want to see it.
Yeah.
So
Please
make
do.
some and tag us because we will love it.
We will not litigate. But yeah, you're right though, Midge. You're right. I won't wear like shirts that have like a Nike logo on them because I've always been like, why am I gonna pay, a lot of money for this shirt that I'm just gonna be a walking billboard for their brand? And I've always been like that. Back to high school, I'm like, why would I do that? Like people were paying like, like I don't know, so much money just for like, that whatever company, like Tom
cool.
Hardy. Yeah, Tom Hardy shirts. Like, are you kidding me? Like, I'm gonna pay like $150 for a T-shirt so I could advertise some dude's brand. Like for me, that was always like, unless I love that brand, like I'm not gonna be a willing brand ambassador if I'm not getting money from that. But that was always like the business side of me going, what are you doing? But like the public, they love it. Like, look, I'm with Tom Hardy or whatever. Like that was just a big thing like years ago. I'm with you. Like, why? That's just me. But yeah,
there's that. And then there's repping like creators, right? That you follow. Like I'm repping Quarter Crew right now.
Oh, dude, is
small.
that the 3D tracking shirt?
Yep.
That's so sick.
Track me, bro.
And
yeah.
So that there's like repping Nike, which is this huge conglomerate, and then repping some of your favorite creators or people who you learn from or what have you. So
yeah,
that's kind of where I'm moving because I was sorry.
Like
yeah.
Amoeba Music. Like I
exactly.
They're moving, but I loved Amoeba Music, so I got their T-shirt, so I wear it, like because I support them, or like Corridor Crew. They have like 1 million followers on YouTube, but they're not like super huge. So yeah, sure, like of course you like them, you want to rep them, that's cool.
Blender,
Nike,
Kurzgesagt.
Nike,
yes,
yeah. Granted, like my brother's been to their place in Portland. He's worked with them. They're really cool people. I mean, I think they're great, but still, like they're a multi-million or billion-dollar corporations. Like, I don't know. That's just I get it. I get why.
Yeah,
So
I feel so bad right now because I'm literally doing the opposite of what you guys have just said.
Well, trademarks are very, very interesting. I'm not a trademark lawyer or anything, but as far as like fan art was, if you were to make a Millennium Falcon, I think you would be absolutely fine, 100%. I'm almost certain of that because you're not making a film with that asset in. The moment you made a Millennium Falcon short,
yeah,
you'd be so close to being confused with Disney as to whose IP and generating it is. So trademarks tend to fall in not a big umbrella, but in very specific areas. So if you're making fan art, and by all means, make a Millennium Falcon, call it the Millennium Pigeon, and it's based upon the Millennium Falcon, or like a TIE fighter, but it has triangular wings or what. You can change things. I mean, you can tell it's supposed to be in that world, in that universe, but in general, from my understanding of trademark, and I'll know more about this soon because I'm speaking to trademark people in about a month's time, I think. But it's all about the niches it fits in. Yeah. So making the fan art, you're probably not going to get told off for. If you give that to someone who then uses it in a film production and they go, well, this person told me I could use it, you could potentially be countersued down the chain.
Yes.
So that's one thing that you could get yourself screwed over for by someone else using it for making a short film out of. And again, sometimes companies actively encourage it. Some, like Nintendo, will actively shoot you the moment they see that.
Sky. Like Curtis was talking about this the other day.
Yeah, Lucas loved to do that.
TV, I think.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Sky, the company Sky, trying to trademark the name Sky, and then trying to sue Hello Games for making No Man's Sky, because it had Sky in it, and I'm like, no, stay in your corner. Don't be that facetious.
Well, didn't very recently Google trademark the word pixel?
Yeah,
I believe they did. So that's going to be interesting to see what happens with that.
Yeah, it is. You're right, Michael. It is siloed. So there are codes in the trademark law that will silo uses for different cases. So your use case has to be specific. However, like, unless you understand where your assets are going, or where your video's going, or where anything that you're making is going, like, chances of you getting sued as a small-time creator are really, really small. Chances of getting a cease and desist, pretty high. But it's your risk tolerance. If you want to risk it, go for it. I'm not going to stop you. Anyone in the community listening to this, but personally, I stay away from it only because I've seen the paper trail, and it's.
One example of that hit a load of YouTubers a few years back was ones who stream gaming. Was that actually the IP is owned by the people who make the game?
Correct.
So all of these people you see playing the games, and I think there was one like something like Firewatch, where the story's only you can beat it in the time that you get refunded from Steam, for instance. But people were showing full gameplay, and the creators were getting narked because people were having the experience, because it is a walking simulator with a story. They were getting the experience without actually paying for the content. So that I think it was Firewatch. They ended up copyright striking a load of channels because they were showing off their IP.
That's a losing fight.
It wasn't very popular in the community, and I don't know if it was Firewatch. I'm sure the comments will let me know if it was not. But yeah, it is a losing fight on one stance, but you're still not right. You can still potentially get in a legal battle, which is stressful. Even if it turns out that they just let it go and say, "Well, slap on the wrist, don't do it again." Being in a legal battle is stressful, because the letters you get from solicitors are not worded nicely.
Yeah, and a lot of times within a company, counsel will talk to public relations too, because if going after huge channels that are really, really popular with millions of viewers, bringing in a lot of interest to your brand, if you go out and you sue those creators, you're generating a whole lot of bad press for your company too. So it's a give and take, and there's some companies that don't care, and there are other companies that might be like, yeah, let's not go after those guys because that's going to generate a lot of bad press. Let's just work with them. So, but as a small creator, it's like, do you want to put yourself in that possible position? Because something you put up now, even if a company like, for example, like Lucas used to be really cool with people doing fan art for Star Wars, and once it was sold, that kind of changed. So it's, what do you want to? How much risk do you want to tolerate, and what do you want to do with your own stuff? It's up to you. It really is.
One of the things we said last week, when I think Jacob mentioned doing an advert in school, the company asked to take down or something.
It was a spec ad.
I said that there's probably these people sitting around doing nothing in these legal teams that probably get really excited as soon as something small pops up, so they'll just go full out on it. They're like, yes, finally, our job has meaning. We can do something.
Ooh, a preschool put our character on their wall.
Yes, it's down with you.
The crazy thing the crazy thing about that type of thing is that the better you make it, it's almost the worse for yourself in terms of like copyright, because the more in line with their brand you try to make it, the more they're gonna hate it almost, because you're trying to mimic them. So it is the fair use thing, where if you can parody it and say something opposite, then it helps. But
yeah, actually, I just remembered. I think it's years and years back. Someone was making really cool Doctor Who introductions on YouTube, and I think their content kept getting like taken down and reported and stuff, even though it was fan made. But they were like, no, it's not your property, and they kept getting removed.
The whole fair use argument is very, very. You genuinely have to be transformative and not just recreating things in a different way.
Yeah, I think there are some companies I would like to make fan art for, but they're game companies, and I think they're perfectly fine with it. So, first of all, Elite Dangerous, which is like my favorite space game ever, Frontier Developments, they're very on board with community content. They think, okay, well, you know they're never going to sue you, go for it. And also ArenaNet, who make Guild Wars 2. I played so much Guild Wars 2. I've been playing it since 2012, but they're all about fan art as well. They're the kind of companies that take fan art and show it in their newsletters and stuff. So you know that they're really down for it. So I guess if you do research and then you know that they're on board, then I think that's you're in the clear.
Any game company that actively encourages modding as well.
Oh yeah,
that's the whole purpose of it. So
yeah,
you're in pretty safe hands there, and I think Elite Dangerous falls into that category.
Yeah, the modding stuff is cool, and I guess if you're like doing something like the representative of a style, you're probably okay. Like I did like I think it was like something from like Stranger Things, was like a tunnel, like in one of the episodes had this like tunnel thing, and I made like I was like, how can I make that look cool, like that using Eevee, and something like that you could probably get away with. I pretty heavily researched that one before I put it out, but like man, there's some I was just like, I don't know. Some out there where I'm like, yeah, that's really close.
There was I was working on.
Ooh, who's streaming?
Wow,
what was that?
Literally what I've been working on.
Let's take a look.
All right.
I like that sound.
Oh, this is cool. Nice.
Hey,
quick watch stream.
Ooh. It looks very familiar. I don't know where
it does. So this is what I was working on last night, Curtis, when I was talking to you. I'm like,
right. Can I just say,
is this a tie-dye fighter?
This looks beautiful. This model.
That is gorgeous, man.
Did you make this yourself, Markom?
Yeah, I made it all last night.
Well done, man.
So when I jumped onto your stream, I was just kind of like, I just needed a break. But
we're sorry.
I love it, but yeah, no, you're probably perfectly fine.
Where you would be absolutely fine is if you were showing how a ship like this is created. That's that's transformative, and at the end you've got this.
Okay.
Don't then sell it to people afterwards. I think that's where it gets on dodgy ground.
I was actually just going to put it up on Gumroad or something just for free because I already thought about that.
This has reminded me of something, actually. There are quite a few channels that do lore videos, not just for Star Wars, but I mean, for Star Wars it's a big thing, but for other things as well. And they don't have much trouble, I think. And they're showing fan arts of like story elements and stuff that are written into canon and like non-canon elements, and they're perfectly fine. So that could be considered fan content, even though it's not technically your IP. So
that's a gray area, Markom. I think you're probably okay on that. If you're showing how to do that, like how you would create something like this, I would like maybe make the wings just a bit different, just to be like, no, it's my own version of something that you never ever used in a movie ever, and I can prove it, and you're totally cool.
You just make it curved instead of flat.
The
greebles are in the wrong position. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, I think it'll be fine.
Blend Swap, they have a thing specifically for that, where you just mark it as fan art, and you're very clear that it's somebody else's IP. You just made this for fun. So,
and I mean, I can still see CG Geeks, TIE Fighter, and Star Destroyers are still up there. It
will be fine. Yeah. It will be absolutely fine.
That's the thing is, it's up there for a long time. So if somebody changes their mind later, but all you'll get on that is a video takedown request. You won't like get any legal trouble probably. But I'm not an attorney, so don't take my word for it.
I think the money that we make, maybe even collectively, is pretty much peanuts compared to what Disney's doing.
Oh yeah. Oh my god. We me and my family, we've got a house in Florida. We spent so much time and like forgetting Disney's like entire movie business and merchandise and everything that just rakes in unparalleled amounts of money. The number of people that go to the Disney parks is insane, and those tickets are expensive. And if you go there in peak season, you look like there's no like space, there's no walking room, and you think every single one of these tiny dots of people spent a stupid amount of money to be here. It's just walking oceans of cash, like they spend money while they're there as well, and you're like, that's mental. Absolutely insane. But I did remember something about this copyright conversation when I did my sponsored video with Sketchfab like a few weeks ago. The atmospheric effects in Eevee one that had a dropship model that was taken from the store. I'm not going to get the person. I'm not going to say who the person who made it, because I've got two names in my head, and if I say the wrong one, that's terrible. But you can go and take a look. They're credited. But it was originally going to be a Bugatti Chiron. Is that what it's called?
Yeah,
Bugatti Chiron.
I say Chiron. I don't know.
Chiron. That one. I was speaking to them, and I said, "Okay, I want to use this car model because I can get something that looks really good with lighting there. What's the
cool car?
Now this is up for sale on the Sketchfab store. What's the legality there? Because like, if I make this sponsored video showing this model and saying this model's available in the store, and then it gets taken off the store for like a because maybe Bugatti doesn't want it there, I then have to take the video down. So is this a concern?" And he said, to be honest, it's a grey area. That they allow them on the store, but it just depends on whether the car companies really like it or not. So I was speaking to someone else on my server who really likes making cars, and they were like, yeah, it really depends on the company, because there are some that he knows, I'm not going to say who they are in case I get it wrong, but that don't allow it at all. And there are some that are okay with it. And then it's apparently really weird when it breaches into like game development territory, because I think some games have to pay repeating licenses to have their cars represented, which is why Forza Horizon 3 is not able to be sold anymore, because it's like it's expired this license period and they don't want to repay it. So car industry is really weird when it comes to this. Like you have
We're talking about fair use. If you play GTA 5, you recognize all of the different models, but none of them have the badges on them, and they've been tweaked slightly. So that's a great example that you can do fan art and still just tweak it enough that it's recognizable, but not quite. It's got the right DNA of it.
Exactly. Everyone knows the Pagani, like in GTA 5. It's got this very specific like exhaust at the back, but it's not.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
And I think we're gonna
Pitbull.
Yeah, we're gonna be going into a gray area too with this stuff, because as this blows up and as more people use digital and virtual reality comes around, like we don't have the case load to interpret these laws right now. It's so new that we don't. I mean, all law is established on case precedent, so we don't have that. We don't have that case precedent now to look at and go, oh, okay, well, in this case they used it here and it was fine, and the judge ruled this way, so it's okay to use this, right? Like until we have that, it's a big gray area. And I don't really want to be a guinea pig case load.
This is not legal advice. We are not doctors or lawyers.
This is certainly not something you want to go first on.
Just use your judgment, and when in doubt, just remix.
If you do make a fan art of a Millennium Falcon, you say it's fan art of the Millennium Falcon, then there's no ambiguity about it. If you set, obviously with something as popular as that, you would not get away with it anyway if you called it anything else. But some people will say, "Oh, I this is my brilliant idea. I made it all myself." And you're like, "No. That's the front end of this thing and the rear end of that thing smushed together."
Yeah, you just Franken modeled it.
Yeah, Frank was modeled.
I was working on a noir scene with a Fortnite model of John Wick, which is like 2 or 3 different tiers of IP weirdness. I was like, what if I just like make his nose a little bit longer or something? Because I liked the cartoonish look, but still wanted to use John Wick, and then I just gave up on it because I was too in my head about whether who's going to come after me. Is it Snapple, Stepic Games?
Yeah.
Or Onakairos?
I'm waiting for Hostess, but it's like those videos I made are so unedible. They're so unedible. Nobody, like people like, that's not cake. You can't eat that.
Yeah.
Like, yep, looks nothing like
I was thinking for a
crap.
second, did I mishear you? Why would Hostess come after you? And then I remembered the Twinkie video.
I don't think I actually said Twinkie, or maybe I did. I don't know, but like, there's so many knockoffs of it now too. It's like it's like a ubiquitous brand. It's like heritage, like apple pie now. So
I'm just waiting till they sponsor your videos and you're just eating Twinkies on camera. You know,
Yeah, exactly, I know.
my fuel for any Blender project is a good Twinkie. All the
Yep.
energy I need.
Well, I mean, my
Remember
goal,
when, like,
with
6
my
months,
Going
it
extinct.
just keep getting bigger and
Yeah.
bigger and bigger.
yeah,
my
goal,
hostess transformation.
yeah, my goal weight's actually 465.8 pounds, so I'm almost on my way. Good,
God.
excited.
Sorry, my
But
hostess
yeah,
transformation.
those and you know that the Stranger Things type look were like the only videos I ever went, and like they're so ubiquitous and so like they don't look like, you know, even like the icing is wrong on the thing I did. It's like my own version of something, but it's a cupcake. It's like, but it's such a gray area. It really is.
I
Like
think
there's certain brands I would never do that with.
I'll probably just like shoot the. If I make fan art for these games, for example, I'll probably just shoot the developers an email. From what I know, well, Frontier Developments is pretty good on contact and support. I've spoken to some of them in person anyway, but I don't know who the other ones are. But I think that's probably a good rule of thumb for anyone, right? If you're gonna,
totally.
If you really want to be like committed to it, and you think, okay, well, I want to make this a significant thing for my business or my kind of content, it's probably a good idea just to shoot them a message. And that actually reminds me, I think Andrew Price, in his interview with Ton Rosendahl, I think it was, he said that before he started making tutorials, he was thinking about doing them for Maya instead of Blender. And he said that
3ds Max.
Max.
Oh yeah, that was it, Max.
3ds Max.
He shot them a message and he said, "Is it okay, legality-wise, if I produce tutorial content for this software?" And he said they could not give him a straight answer. They said they didn't know whether like he was allowed to or not allowed to just produce educational content for it. I don't even think if that was like to put adverts on it or anything, but just to produce the content. So he was like, that's a bit shady. Like they couldn't even just say yes. So he thought, well, you know what, I'll just do it for Blender instead.
That's where the things changed.
He would have been the 3ds Max guru.
Yeah.
Can you imagine?
Max
Didn't he buy the domain? And then he had to hand the domain back over?
Oh, I'm not sure about that. Maybe.
Wow.
I vaguely remember something like that.
He said like a 3ds Max guru or something. But after they replied in a shady way, he's like, no, I'm not going to do that.
Yeah.
Work out for the best. That's for sure.
Well, I think in general, just like tying your thing to like one piece of software. With Blender's case, it's not too bad because of the nature of it. You know, it's going to be really hard to ever get rid of it, I guess. But especially with commercial software, I'd be tempted to stay away from that because you never know what's going to happen with it. Like, and it only takes one really bad update to really sour everybody's taste nowadays.
Yep.
Adobe Premiere Pro binge.
I know. I looked it up and it was open source. Although they were getting uppity about using the Blender name now, and I'm like, but it was like open source. I was like, all right, I'll just change my name, just to get around that. I haven't figured out a good name yet, but when I do, it'll be soon, and I'm gonna rebrand.
Kev, did you get an email about using Blender logos in your thumbnails? Because Ducky did. Do you remember this is before?
Well.
Yeah,
you did as well. I'm just wondering who, because I didn't get an email.
I changed mine as soon as I saw that. I took all mine out. I don't know if I still have any of them.
They were going to go. They said they wouldn't go after you, but I don't want to deal with it. And plus, they compromised with the new logos. So
the new logos are cool. I don't think they would have had many grounds to go after you for it anyway, because you're not saying it's official Blender content. But I stopped using it. Probably like 2 or 3 videos before they started sending out messages, just because I thought it looked ugly. So I was kind of happy and disappointed that I didn't get one, because I was happy because I was like, maybe they like me, and I was disappointed because I thought maybe I'm not big enough.
Yeah, likewise, I didn't get one, but I went and changed it all. I was like, all right, and then I realized,
Notice me, Blender.
Yeah, then I noticed, I was like, well, how long is it before they go after using the word Blender? And I'm like, but they're the organization for
very recently. Didn't Microsoft release a piece of open source software that they call Blender, and basically the entire Blender community
Facebook?
Went, no, you don't.
Facebook.
And then they changed the name.
Yeah.
Was it Facebook? Yeah, that was it. Yeah.
It was a chat bot. We spoke about this last week, actually. Yeah, it was Blender, the chat bot, and then they changed it to Blender Bot instead, I think. Ridiculous.
Yeah.
Okay.
Did you
And I
guys
figured,
see?
you know, Blender. Oh yeah.
Sorry, yeah, I was gonna change the topic. Go ahead.
Yeah, when I said that, you know, when I was like Blender Guru, okay, Blender Guru has been a thing forever, and I'm like, all right, well, all these channels using Blender in their name, and they've been up forever. I'm like, screw it, I'll just go Blender binge, and I was like, oh, that's probably fine. And now I'm like rethinking that too, and I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah, well, Jacob changed his name, didn't you, Jacob, on
Yeah,
YouTube?
In like,
I
I
like
did.
yes.
Well, it's just from it was from my name to a separate name.
Yeah.
So, but I wanted to do it early rather than later. I know it's probably a harder decision for you, Kev, with many more subscribers.
It's only like 50,000 or something that I have right now. It's probably still small.
Zacharias Reinhardt did it as well. He had a
Yeah.
pretty substantial audience, and then he changed it to CG Boost, and that went fine. So
Good name though. Gotta
Yeah.
admit, like it was a really
Yeah.
Yeah.
great move
Yeah.
on his part.
We'll end up with a load of channels on YouTube just CG this, CG this.
yeah,
Yeah,
If you're not
seriously.
CG
careful.
matter.
yeah.
Yeah, one person copyrights or trademarks CG in that space, and everyone's done.
In the very beginning, I had like this name for my channel, like just Blender things, but then, nah, just 3D things.
Yeah, that's
I don't know.
Smart.
much smarter.
There is a company.
Actually.
There is a company called Curtis Holt, and they own CurtisHolt.com. And I think it's more than one company, because I think it's one called Toolbank as well. But anyway, the funny thing is they were actually kind of local to here, because when we used to drive to like family friends, we used to drive past a Curtis Holt building, and it was always quite funny. Like they were always watching over. But now, like I worry, like if I try and do something too businessy, like, you know, a Curtis Holt business, like are they gonna cause a fuss about it? And if so, then I'm just gonna stick my middle finger up at them, because it's my name. All right,
It is your name. Legally.
Just add,
Yeah.
who was born first?
It goes back to
Well
the
done.
trademark stuff we were doing earlier. Unless they're doing 3D modeling, then you're perfectly safe. You can both
Yes,
be called
add
it.
first in commerce.
add your middle initial.
yeah, J.
Always Jay.
There you go.
Curtis J Holt.
But yeah, if you don't want the hassle of going through the motions later on, if you trademark early, then if you've got the Curtis Holt trademark for the specific area of industry you work in, then you're safe.
Yeah, do I need a trademark if it's literally my name?
Yep.
Damn it.
I don't know. Do you remember Kylie Jenner trying to trademark Kylie? And Kylie
Oh,
Minogue
yeah.
was like,
Oh, yeah,
"Hmm,
no.
I don't know about that."
Oh my gosh.
Get off my
Yep.
turf.
And you have to do you have to prove first in commerce too. That's another big one. So if somebody's like, you know, if there are two people fighting, the first person who used it to make money will usually win in that one silo, that one area. So it's
Use it to your advantage. Whenever somebody asks about it, you can go, look at this building. It's got my name on it. That's pretty legit, right?
Yeah.
right. Look,
Yeah, I should take a
Look at all
picture
my
of it.
premises.
All right, guys.
I remember
It's
doing this
6:30 in the
all
morning.
time.
I'm going to get ready for work, and I'll talk to you later.
All right, bye,
Have a great
Markham.
day.
All
Have a
right.
good day.
Have a good day.
Have a good
Have
day.
a good day, Markham.
Yeah, we've been going for 1.5 hours, so we can close this up soon. But I will say there is also a really popular character called Curtis Holt as well from the show Arrow.
Arrow,
Yeah,
yeah.
Arrow. Yeah.
Arrow, yeah.
So like,
Nice.
He always takes over you in the
Yeah.
Google ranking.
yeah, exactly.
There's a famous footballer called Michael Bridges. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm not a footballer. I consider myself completely safe.
So I'm fighting against companies and popular characters in Google. But never mind.
You'll
But
rise
then,
and go.
again, if you're at that point, you know, maybe you've got the resources to do it, and it's more annoying than anything else.
Yeah.
Real quick, did you guys see the Oculus Infinite Office?
No.
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 It's like a new, concept to use the goggles as your screens for your workspace and take it wherever. Kind of interesting.
I'll look that up.
I have used my Quest quite a lot. Well, trying to use it as a screen anyway. Tried quite a few times, and it's kind of good.
Yeah.
Briefly, but then it's like trying to go like in Blender, and you can't zoom in on the I don't know, and you end up like getting your controller and like pulling the screen up close to your face so that you can read like a tiny little number, which because of the resolution of your Quest is like 2 pixels, and you're like, if I move it, I can like try and read the aliasing. And it's
Resolution's
like,
like 2 pixels.
Old
I
Man
love that.
Simulator 2020.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the
Oh,
pass through
nice.
is pretty fun, but I don't know if at least with the resolution on the screen of the Quest it would be usable, but maybe the Quest 2, which now it has mixed reality support directly, which is kind of cool.
You have to use Facebook. Otherwise,
you
you
do.
can't.
Yeah, I'd set up this whole workflow, like including this. I can't
Facebook.
unplug it now, but this ATEM and some other stuff to get my Quest casted so that I can record it and all this stuff. And then they're like, "We'll just make a new one, and it'll do all the things and be just about the same price, if not a little cheaper." And we'll
Yeah.
pub it 2 months later.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's the
And it
progress
supports
of
90
technology,
hertz.
isn't it?
Yep.
Yeah, I actually sold
Yeah.
mine like 2 or 3 months ago, I think, because I wasn't using it all that much.
Yeah.
Cool
By the
piece of
time we
tech,
get our
though.
hands on the 3080s, the 6080s will be out.
Probably.
Yeah, I know. I went on. I was trying to order one because I need render power right now for a freelance gig, and I'm like, they're all out of stock.
I think you're better off just buying really cheap 2080 Ti's secondhand at this point because everybody's dumping them.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I think I might.
If
actually
I had a
Like,
2080
that's
Ti,
good
I'd be
advice.
holding on to it. I mean, it's
Yeah.
still a phenomenal.
Yeah.
I've got
I
one
heard
in here.
Curtis is a 980 lying around.
I've
Yeah.
got 980 down there, but I've got a 2080 Ti in here, and it's perfectly fine, perfectly functional. I got it cheaper than its base price from PC Specialist. I don't know why they were listed cheaper, but they were, so I was quite happy about that. But yeah, I'm not letting go of this. I mean, people can joke all they want, but it's still an amazing card.
Yeah. I'll take your advice. Probably pick up 2080s, and that'll get the job done. I can get the job done on my 1070. Honestly, it's just I want it to go faster because I just want it to go faster.
Yeah.
Don't we
I do.
all?
Yeah, exactly.
So it's the bane of a 3D artist. You can always have more render power.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Because honestly, at work, I sometimes have access to like 3,000 processors, and I'm like, and at home, I'm like, one card.
Do
Like,
you
come on.
do you ever try and render across multiple machines at all?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I do. But I have a bunch of laptops whose batteries are dying. I'm actually talking on a newer laptop right now, and but they're so like inefficient though. I'd rather have desktops, and I got rid of all the desktops when I had to make space for our family. So I was like, oh, great. I'm down to one machine that actually has power and a bunch of laptops that'll probably catch fire if I try to do this. So no.
I
Yeah.
owned an ARD a few months back of on eBay. There was a load of old server racks that all had like 32. I think they were dual Xeons, so 16 cores each. So 32 core. Obviously, it's not going to be as fast as modern tech, but having
Fast
a couple
enough,
of
though,
those. But they were stripped down, so like people are taking the hard drives and lots of RAM out, and I'm like, well, I don't need that much RAM for most of the projects, and these were like 240 quid each, and I'm like, I could have like a render farm going very quickly.
Oh
And-
yeah,
In the garage, though, because that's going to make a lot of noise if it's in a server rack.
a lot of noise.
That's
Yeah.
where I am at the moment. I don't want it in the garage. I want it in the house.
No more tutorials.
Exactly.
Here, family.
Why
you
is it
guys
so
deal with it.
noisy? Well,
have
it's the
to-
heating. It's the heating. It's electrical heater, essentially.
I have to use my storage
Especially-
unit and a really long cable.
Yeah. Especially if you're doing procedural stuff, you need like a lot of GPU because if I just want to like the preview of it, EV lags like for a minute or something. I think
It
Erin
does.
does know about this, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
like
Pain.
and
Do
then
not like it.
that too. Oh my god, it kind of my laptop can fry omelets sometimes.
Oh my god.
Oh yeah. Like
Yeah,
I
I
have like
don't ha- I
breakfast and rendering.
Yeah.
That's what we call multitasking in the industry.
That's right.
Yeah,
I'm gonna-
probably.
Turn up the
I'm gonna-
samples, omelets it coming in.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, during
My limit for Eevee is like a minute. If it lags for a minute, I'm totally fine with that because it's still way faster than the same thing in cycles if I can get a comparable look. But after a minute, I'm like, this isn't worth it anymore. We're just starting a cycle.
Viewport denoising actually helped a lot with the recent updates. Viewport denoising is making my things way better. Like, previewing it in cycles is more faster than previewing it in EV
Oh yeah.
for the procedural displacement stuff.
Yeah, especially with shader stuff, and it's like every change you make, it's going to recompile the shaders in Eevee, whereas it's only just going to like make the small change you've made for Cycles. So Cycles is always like right there with you when you're editing, but you know, and also Cycles doesn't have the same node limit, which Eevee does not do well with big node trees.
Oh yeah,
That's when I realized.
I always
haven't gotten as large as you guys have.
It just
90%
as soon as it starts
of
coming
the
back
time,
magenta, you've gone too far.
Wow.
There is this there's a script which you can use to like calculate the number of nodes, and my highest node setup was around like 1,000, like once. That's it. Oh my god, I don't even remember which project that was. Yeah.
Wow. I might have gotten as high as 30 or 40 nodes tops for like any particular shader I'm doing. Like 1,000. Yeah, you guys are doing some wizardry though. I mean, you guys are doing like some like
I would get totally lost.
Yeah,
Go check out recent Aaron's stream. You should see the node setup. Oh my god.
You just got to make sure you leave yourself notes in places.
Seriously, like you got like Voldemort is gonna come out of your screen, like stuff you guys.
Thanks for the Harry Potter reference.
Right on the back of my head.
It's gonna be great.
You know, like how if you go through a labyrinth, it's a good idea to take like some sand or some string. You need that just to go through all your groups.
Some crumbs.
Yeah, some crumbs. Just follow it back up.
That would be a cool add-on if you guys want to make one. Something that traces paths or something.
It'd be called crumbs.
Crumb. Yeah, call it Crumb. That'd be great. Another Victor Crumb, another Harry Potter reference.
Victor Crumb, exactly. That's what I was thinking about. Yeah, that's exactly running in my brain right now.
That's awesome.
Victor Crumb, yeah.
Victor Crumb.
I'm such a big Harry Potter fan. I didn't know that.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I love Harry Potter.
We only spoke about all the spiritual stuff except the Harry Potter stuff.
Oh,
we should have spoken more about it.
Yeah. I know.
All right.
Good stuff, man.
So I want to go and have a shower. So let's close it up here. It was nice speaking to all of you.
Yeah,
it's 2 a.m. in the morning for me.
Oh, okay.
Good to meet you.
It's 2 a.m.
Made me realize how much how close I skirt to trademark issues myself. Like, oh wait a minute, no wait, that one. That one.
No one's gonna sleep tonight.
No one's sleeping, myself included.
Did we scare Mark?
Oh, wait a minute, I did.
Charan?
By the way, I want to tell one last thing. Like, I started the channel after watching BlenderNest podcasts about should I start a YouTube channel. Just wanted to mention you guys.
Oh, nice!
Right.
Yeah.
I'm so happy you did, man. I really am.
I couldn't even believe that I'm right here right now. I couldn't even believe that I'm here right now.
It's nice to
Your
have
math
you.
videos are phenomenal, man. So keep at it. Like, just keep doing it. Your stuff is great.
Thank you.
You're a good
you.
teacher, and hopefully next week as well.